I've always felt that this could have gone a bit harder. It is not within the wit of man, nor angel, nor the transcendent mind of any deity to conceive that this substance before me could, in even the faintest or most hypothetical sense, fail to be butter. To call it otherwise would not merely stretch the limits of human credulity, it would obliterate them, hurling the very concept of plausibility screaming into the abyss like Lucifer himself judged before God. For this golden, unctuous marvel is not merely reminiscent of butter, it is butter's platonic ideal, the echo of the first butter churned in Eden by the fair hand of Eve, mother of us all, the luminous residue of dairy perfection upon which civilizations have risen, foundered, and fallen. I look upon it and I see the sum of all bovine bounty, the culmination of every pastoral dream that ever fluttered across a milkmaid's heart or the green and pleasant landscapes of Constable. It gleams with the gentle arrogance of truth. Its texture whispers certainties into the tongue, certainties more immutable than law, more steadfast than faith, more deeply ingrained in the marrow of existence than gravity itself. If this not be butter, then language itself has perished, and words are but hollow noises, the hooting of apes mocked by the indifferent void. To imagine, nay, to entertain for a fraction of a nanosecond the suggestion that this might not be butter, is to participate in the grandest folly ever visited upon the human mind. It would be betrayal not only of the senses, but of reason, of civilization itself, of the sacred compact between the perceiver and the perceived, the observer and the observed. Were a man to stand before me and insist, against all reason, with steady gaze and solemn tone, that this golden ambrosia were anything other than butter, I would sooner doubt my own existence. I would suspect I had dreamt my entire life, that I had fallen into some baroque hallucination contrived by malicious gods, bent on driving mortals to despair through the base mockery of dairy products. I tell you, to deny its butterhood is not an act of reasoned skepticism, it is rebellion against reality. It is philosophical sedition. It is the epistemological terrorism of the most deranged and blasphemous variety. To claim that this is not butter is to declare that up is down, that black is white, that fire is wet, and that stone is soft. It is to spit in the face of the sun and accuse it of coldness. It is to undermine the notion that A follows B in natural progression, and that A and not A are both in fact A. Let me be clear. There exists no category of substance, no molecular configuration, no conceivable chemical accident that could yield so rich a creaminess, so ineffably smooth a glide across the tongue, without participating in the very quintessence of butter itself. If this is some impostor, some alchemical parody or perverse counterfeit, then our universe is but a cruel jest, its creator a prankster god, a demiurge of the dairy herd, who delights in the anguish of discerning palates. Were it possible for an object to pretend to be butter, to such perfection of fidelity, it would have to become butter in the process, for nothing short of butter could so completely impersonate butter. The illusion would collapse between the weight of its own verisimilitude. The very atoms would, in shame and confusion, rearrange themselves into their rightful dairy form, lest they be condemned for deceit by the cosmos. Imagine, if you will, some wretch proclaiming, "No, this is not butter." The words would turn to ashes in their heretical bitch mouth. Their tongue would rebel against the treachery. Their saliva would curdle with shame. Birds would fall silent. The wind would die. The milkmaids of antiquity would rise from their pastoral graves, brandishing churns as weapons of divine correction. Large-breasted Valkyries in legion come to take the wastrel to hell. For such a statement is not merely incorrect, it is profane. It wounds truth itself. Were such a heretic to persist, I would call upon philosophers, theologians, and the foremost men of science to witness the enormity of their blunder, and all in one united cry would declare, "You fool! You blind, pitiable fool! There are errors of judgment, and there are cosmic disgraces. For you cannot unbelieve in butter once you have beheld it. It is self-evident, it is axiomatic. It announces itself with the quiet majesty of inevitability." Let us speak then of texture, the tactile scripture of this revelation. When spread upon bread, it yields not grudgingly, but graciously, like an emperor granting audience to his subject. It melts with the languid patience of eternity, leaving behind not residue, but benediction. The scent. The scent alone is testimony sufficient to silence 1,000 skeptics. It is the olfactory chorus of meadows in June, of sunlight distilled through the mysterious art of the udder. Were Plato alive to behold it, he would weep, recognizing at last the form that all forms dimly imitate. If, in some deranged alternate dimension, this miracle were not butter, then every sense that proclaims it so, taste, smell, sight, touch, would be conspirators in a grand deception, a cabal of treacherous faculties dedicated to the annihilation of reason. I refuse such nihilism. I reject such madness. I stand upon the firm foundation of butterhood, unshaken. Even now, as I contemplate its radiance, I feel the very axioms of logic bending themselves in reverence. Euclid himself would abandon his geometry to chart its curves. Archimedes would cry Eureka, not in his bath, but over a slice of toast. The poets would throw down their lyres in despair and weep, for no verse could encompass its splendour. Suppose, in some monstrous epoch of decadence, a tribunal were convened to determine the truth of its butterhood. Learned men in wigs, chemists with vials, philosophers in tweed, all poring over it, debating in tremulous voices. Is it butter? One would whisper, his voice quavering under the burden of his blasphemy. And yet before any test could be made, the object itself would answer silently, imperiously, with the grandiose majesty of all brute facts. Its presence alone would crush doubt beneath its golden heel. Instruments would fail, microscopes would fog with awe, pens would halt mid-note. The verdict, written not in ink but in the very marrow of existence, would be unanimous. Yes. And yet still, there would come a fool. There is always a fool. I cannot believe, he would say, that this is butter. And in that moment, belief itself would recoil from him. His disbelief would not tarnish the spread, it would destroy him. For to doubt what is manifestly butter is to doubt the foundation of knowledge itself, to rend asunder the sacred covenant between perception and truth. If one could not believe in this butter, one could not believe in anything. The stars might as well be painted dots upon a cosmic ceiling. Mountains could be papier-mâché. The heart might pump sand instead of blood. The world might be flat, and poison might be the sweetest candy. All trust in the world would crumble like stale bread beneath the knife. So let it be known, I do not merely believe this is butter. I know it. With the certainty of a sunrise, with the serenity of axioms, with the ecstasy of revelation. I would stake my reason, my soul, and the entire epistemological edifice of mankind upon that knowledge. For to call this not butter is to wage war upon truth itself, and truth, as history has shown, does not yield easily, despite the best efforts of popes, presidents, and kings. Thus, I declare, before heavens and earth, before gods and beasts, before every trembling witness in the halls of ontology, there has never been, nor shall there ever be, a doubt so foolish, a blasphemy so brazen, as to deny the butterhood of this butter, this avatar of butteriness. And should any man, woman, or celestial being rise to contradict me, let them do so at their peril, for the universe itself, in its boundless, buttery justice, would surely rise to smite them down.
Greetings, Jerkian warrior elite. Know this, that your existence is down to the orders of our portly potentate, and that without him you would not exist. Your very conception in the clone tanks of Clonius, the cloning planet, is ordained by his obese omnipotence, and from that very moment you owe him your life, your servitude, and your loyalty. To be a soldier in the glorious army of the Jerkian Empire is perhaps the best fate that can befall lowly matter in this universe. The Jerkian Empire is all-conquering, all-powerful, has the best uniforms, the most advanced weaponry, and the greatest leader the galaxy has ever known. Nothing can stand in our way, and you, even as lowly as you are, can die knowing that you are serving a far greater cause and a far superior people to any other in the universe.
Invaders is a comedy game of mishap and alien adventure, where you play the part of diminutive and comedically and epically incompetent alien invaders. You can get it at post-mort.com and drive through RPG.